Good evening. Welcome to Students Dominate Math. My name is Mr. Hendricks, and we are going to have a great show today. It's going to be a little bit different, but I just want to let you know that this is a live call-in interactive show brought to you through the facilities of CAN TV. And as a live call-in show, we want you to call in 312-738-1060, and I will do the best that I can to answer whatever math questions. Today's show is going to be a little bit different. What I have tried to do week after week is share with you different problems, different types of problems to help you in your homework, your schoolwork, tests and quizzes and so forth. Today is going to be different. Today, what I have been doing prior to you coming and watching the show is thinking about, over the years, all of the different kinds of mistakes that I have seen students make. And today what I'm going to try to do is share with you all of the, it's difficult to make all the mistakes, but share with you some of the most common mistakes that I see year after year. And what I try to do with my students is I try to say, before I introduce a lesson or while I'm introducing a lesson, I'll say, don't do this, don't do that, don't do this. And I can say that because of the years of working with students. It's amazing how the students tend to make some of the same mistakes year after year after year, even though we're working with different students. It's amazing how that works. So today is a day where I'm going to say, don't do this, don't do that, don't do this. Today is a day where what we're going to do is talk about the most common mistakes that I see year after year after year. So today what I'm going to do is be wrong a lot, intentionally, and hope that it is of benefit to someone out there who might be struggling with an idea or a concept. Let's jump right into it. First thing, my experience has been with students, we got something like, these are common errors. Let's write it down so people who might be watching, they'll know that we're intentionally trying to be wrong. Common errors. Common mistakes that students make with the basic math. Let's take a look. All right, so how about 1/2 plus 1/3? What's a common error here? How do you add fractions? Well, one of the most important things that you need to add or subtract fractions is a common denominator, So what's wrong here? Common error would be to say, hey, well, this is wonderful. Adding fractions is easy. I'll just take the 1 plus 1 is 2, and I'll just take the 2 plus 3 is 5 and get 2/5. That is wrong. Woo! It's wrong. You cannot just add the 1 plus the 1 to get the 2 and add the 2 plus the 3 to get the 5. Why? Why can't you do that? Because you don't have a common denominator. You must rewrite 1/2. The way you get a common denominator is you ask yourself, can the 2 go into 3? Let's rewrite this. We got 1/2 plus 1/3. Can the 2 go into 3 even? No. You cannot count by 2s and get to 3. So you count by 3. You go from 3 to 6. Can 2 go into 6 evenly? Yes. So 6 is what you call a least common multiple. Sometimes it's called a least common denominator. So what's another? 1/2 is the same thing as 3/6. 1/3 is the same thing as 2/6. 1/2 is the same thing as 3/6. All right. So now that you have a common denominator, you can now add the numbers. You can now add 3, 6 to 2, 6. And I guess another common mistake, people, and now that you have a common denominator, some students might think that the answer is 5 twelfths. Well, that's not right, because once you have the common denominator, you keep the common denominator in your answer. So you add the numerators and you keep the denominator the same. Final answer is 5, 6. So that's one of the major mistakes that students make. That is a major error. So I really hammered it. So hopefully you're watching and you don't make that mistake. I got another one for you. We're talking about common errors today. Let's jump into it. Another common error. All right, another common error. All right, so common mistake. That's all we're going to talk about today. You can think of one. You can think of a mistake that you have made over the years. You call in. All right. So let's say we have 10.5 times 2.4. Uh-oh, we got some challenges with the focus here. Let's see what we got. All right, let's see what we got here. That's a little bit better. All right, so now you are multiplying. That's my multiplication sign. What students do is they'll multiply the 5 times the 4 to get 20. That's good. And then the 0 times 4, that's 0. They'll add the 2. That's good. And then they'll multiply the 1 times the 4. That's good. All that's good. That's wonderful. And then they will take 2 times, they'll put a 0 there. 2 times 5 is 10, carry the 1. 2 times 0 is 0, plus the 1, you put a 1 there. And then 1 times 2 is just 2. All right, and then what they'll do is they'll say 0, 2, 5, 2. But then what they'll do is they'll bring down the decimal. That is wrong. That is wrong. That is wrong. When you are multiplying decimals, what you are to do is count the number of decimals you are from the whole number in both parts of your problem. So you're 1 decimal from being a whole number here. That's 1 decimal. That's 2. That's another decimal you are from a whole number. So what you're to do is count the total. That's 1 decimal place from being a whole number. That's another 1 decimal place from being a whole number. And together that's 2. So now what you do is after you do your multiplying, you move the decimal 1, 2 into your final answer and you get 25.2, not 252.0. So the final answer here is 25.2. You know, 10, that's roughly 10 times 2 is closer to 20. It's, you know, you would not move the decimal place 1. That would be saying that a number close to 10 times a number close to 2 is 252. Well, that doesn't make any sense at all. So that's another big mistake that I've seen with students. And I know what I'm talking about. I know what I've seen over the years. You call in the number 312-738-1060, and I would like to help you on whatever questions that you have in the area of math. One thing that I'm very excited about, I think that was about 4 varies. we are going to begin offering some tutoring to students. If you're having challenges with your math class, we're going to, in the near future, begin to offer some tutoring. But as details come in, we'll make you aware of that. All right? So another common mistake. Today we're talking about common errors, frequent mistakes that students make. Let's talk about another common mistake. All right, so another common error. Let's take a look. Common error with the basic mathematics. All right, so what have I seen? Well, what is 3 plus 4.5? 3 plus 4.5. Well, let's be wrong intentionally. Well, let's say we have 4.5 plus 3. 4.5 plus 3, yeah, that seems right. Okay, and then I add the 5 plus the 3, get 8. And then I have the 4 here. Then I bring down the decimal just like my teacher taught. Oh, that is wrong. That is wrong. That is not correct. That is not correct. I wish I had people watching the show. Call in to the number 312-738-1060. Take a quick look at this problem. I know somebody's watching. I know somebody. You call in the number 312-738-1060 and you communicate to me what is wrong with that. All right? So, I'd like to show you the way that you add decimals. The way that you add decimals is not, you must line decimals up. Okay? If you have the 3, you must rewrite 3. This is wrong. You must rewrite 3 so that it has a decimal. All right? So what I've seen, which is also wrong, I've seen students take 4.5 and say, okay, I'll write 3 as a decimal, so they'll write 3 as a decimal in that way. Well, this is wrong too, because 0.3 is not the same thing as a whole number 3. 0.3 is actually a fraction, 3/10. But this is a whole number, 3. All right, so let's do this properly. We have 4.5. Another way you could rewrite the number 3 as a decimal is 3.0. And now that the decimals are lined up, you would add the 5 and the 0 to get 5. You add the 3 and the 4 to get 7. And you bring the decimal straight down when you're adding and subtracting. Unlike this common mistake where we said when you're multiplying, see, when you're multiplying, you don't bring the decimal straight down. When you're multiplying, you place the decimal based on what we said before. You're 1 decimal from this being a whole number, and again, you're 1 decimal from this 24 being 2.4 being a whole number, and you add up those number of places, and then you move that number in your final answer. All right, so hey, I like this, man. We're talking about common mistakes. When I work with students, I identify these common mistakes up front. Sometimes it's helpful, sometimes it's not. All right, so I wish that we had people calling in, but if you don't call in, I still have more kinds of problems that I have found students have issues with. All right, let's keep it moving. Let's keep it moving. All right, so let's say we have more common. What's another common mistake? What is another common mistake? Well, how about, here's a common one. What is 4 divided by half? 4 divided by half. I see it all the time. 4 divided by half. Oh, man, come in, call in. Call in the number 312-738-10 and intentionally be wrong. Tell me what the most common mistake is. 4 divided by half. You call in the number. Call the number on the screen. 312-738-1060. 4 divided by half. The most common mistake that I've seen, people will say that is 2. 4 divided by half is not 2. 4 divided by half is not 2. What we ask students to do, 4 divided by half is to multiply by the reciprocal. 4 divided by half, we ask students to keep, change, keep, save. You change the division to multiplication times, and then the reciprocal of the second fraction. You keep the first fraction the same, you change the division to multiplication, and you take the reciprocal of the second fraction, and then the way you multiply fractions is straight across. 4 divided by half is 8, not 2. It turns out that 4 times half is 2. 4 times half is 2. But 4 divided by half is 8. Okay? So, we have covered a number of common mistakes, and we've got plenty more. Let's just move right into them. All right? Let's move right into them. Common errors is today's topic. Oh, goodness. Uh-oh. Okay. So, all right, wonderful. I like that. We got the phone number down there. That's a good deal. All right, so now, how about -6 plus and -6? Anybody want to call in the number 312-738-10 and intentionally be wrong? A negative and a negative, sometimes students, a negative and a negative, oh, my teacher taught me a negative and a negative is a positive. That is wrong. That is wrong. Your teacher didn't tell you that a negative, your teacher did not tell you that a negative added to a negative was positive. Your teacher taught you that a negative times a negative is a positive 36. Your teacher told you that a negative divided by a negative is a positive 1. That's what, this is good. I feel better. This is good. This is good. That's good. A negative added to a negative stays a negative, and then you add the numbers. Hey, if you owe $6, you're down $6, and then you owe another $6, boy, you owe $12. A negative plus a negative is a negative. But this side, sometimes students confuse the rules for multiplication and division with the rules for addition. Man, this is a good show. Even if you don't call in, it's still a good show. You're not going to stop this from being a good show. I ask you to call in, you don't call in. It's still a good show because we're hammering common mistakes. Now time for the number 1 mistake. Oh, goodness gracious. Oh, goodness gracious. Now time for the number one mistake of all time. The biggest mistake of all time. Here you go. Man, if I don't get a call in now, shame on you. Shame on you. This is the biggest, in my opinion. Other teachers might disagree. This is not just a common mistake. This is the biggest mistake of all time. The biggest mistake. Here we go. What is 12 divided by 2 times 6? Oh my goodness gracious. Be wrong. Call in the number. I'm giving you some time. Call in the number 312-738-1060 and be wrong. Be wrong. Intentionally. Intentionally be wrong. All right, I'm trying to be patient. You got to call in, but I don't think anyone's calling in. So let's just go ahead and do it. Let's be wrong. What students do, unfortunately, is students say, well, I'm going to multiply. I'm going to multiply because I learned, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. So multiplication comes before division. That's what, unfortunately, students think. So what students would do is they'll say, I'm going to multiply here. I get 12 divided by 12, which is 1. Whoa! That is wrong. That is wrong. Multiplication does not always come before division. It depends on the problem. The mistake that some students make is the order of operations says to multiply or divide. You go from left to right. You look at the problem from the left side to the right side when it comes to the operations of multiplication and division. So let's rewrite this problem. This is wrong. 1 is the wrong answer. If you put 12 divided by 2 times 6 in your calculator, you will not get 1. All right, so let's try it again. 12 divided by 2 times 6. What you are to do is look, this step here means look to multiply or divide whatever comes first. All right, so you follow the order of operations. All right, so that would mean if you multiply or divide, that would mean you either have to decide, are you going to divide or multiply? Well, how do you do that? You don't go eeny, meeny, miny, mo, catch a tiger by the toe. If they hollers, let them go. You don't do that. You have to follow the order of operations. All right? So now that would tell you to divide. 12 divided by 2, which is 6. You bring down the times 6, and you end up with the 36. So that's better. I feel so much better. That's the correct answer. That's the correct answer. That's the correct answer. All right, so this has been a great show. We're going to end. We only have a minute left. So we want to encourage the students, you concentrate on these mistakes. It's okay to make a mistake. Everybody makes a mistake. But when your teacher says, no, don't do it this way, you have to hear what the teacher says and process. Okay, I remember the mistake I made. Sometimes you write it in your notes. Sometimes you highlight it. And then if you make a mistake, just make sure that you don't make the same mistake that you made before. And if you do, don't get discouraged. You just keep putting forth your best effort. Never, ever, ever give up. Never quit. Be determined to put forth your best effort. And if you do that, you will dominate math. God bless you. Have a Merry Christmas.